the 4th annual Food Independence Summit. Did you guys go to the speakers this morning? Get some good information? All right, great. So our first class we're going to have here today is the basics of canning, and specifically pressure canning. We're going to go over all of the components of pressure canning. How many people in here are canning already? Quite a few of you. And who has never canned anything ever before? Great. So we've got a mixed bag in here. So I'm going to be interacting with you guys. I do want you to stop me at any time, raise your hands, ask questions, because that's what you guys are here for, right? To get all the answers that you can't find somewhere, maybe you don't know. So, what is canning? I'm going to come around to the front. Hopefully this doesn't screech. Canning is a method of food preservation. Just like you guys are using your freezers at home, it's just a different type of food preservation. So how does canning work? I think for us to understand why we do canning, we have to understand how the science of canning actually works. So how does our food go bad? That's the very first thing we have to look at. If you leave, let's say, some sausage out on the countertop, how does that raw meat go bad? It warms up, right? So temperature affects the safety of our food. What else can land on the sausage? Flies, spores, molds, things like that. So that can also cause our food to degrade. She's back. Hi. Do you want me to do your introduction going into the next class? Yes. Okay, great. Perfect. We just wing it around here. So we've got things that are in our air, airborne things that can land on our food. And we also have something called enzymes, and that's basically how a food breaks down over time and creates these enzymes that can make us sick. So what we need to do is we need to either lower that temperature of that food or deprive it from oxygen. And this is how our freezers work. So if I put chicken breast in the refrigerator, it's going to be good for, I don't know, a week, a couple of weeks, 4 or 5 days if it's not fresh, right? But if I put it in the freezer, I can take it like 6 months to a year. If I put it in a pressure canner and I can it, then I can extend the shelf life again to 1 to 3 years and beyond. And I use that and beyond loosely, but it's and beyond. So the way that canning works is we can in something called a jar, a glass jar. You can also can in tin cans like you get at the grocery store, but this is not that kind of advanced class, so we're not going to go over that today. So in this glass jar, we have something very special that happens when we heat all of the food in that glass jar, and that is all of the oxygen in the jar is pushed out of that jar. And then the lid, what happens to the lid when we can is seals. So by sealing that jar, no new oxygen can get in, which means your food can't break down. Are you with me so far? All right, so we're creating something called a hermetic seal. It just means devoid of oxygen. Now there are a couple things in canning that we have to do to make this process work, and one is heating the food. So we're going to look at 2 different types of canning today. Water bath canning in a pot like this can be accomplished in any large pot you already have in your house. So that's why we love water bath canning. It's kind of a beginner-friendly, introduce you to start canning, because you don't need much special equipment to start doing this today. Most of you probably have a large pot in your house that you can submerge a jar in. And if you pick up some jars and lids today on your way out, you could be canning by tonight, okay? Water bath canning happens by heating the water to boiling temperatures. What degree is boiling temperature? I heard it, 212 degrees. So that's the magic number in water bath canning. We're gonna heat the food in the jars, in the boiling water, that reaches 212 degrees, and now the jars are sealed. But there's only certain types of foods that we can do that with. And in order for us to be able to use every food in our arsenal, just about every food in our arsenal, what we need to have is something called a pressure canner. Have you seen these before? So, just a little housekeeping before we get started. These two All-American pressure canners are going to be raffled off tomorrow as soon as we're done with the canning class. So, do not get up from your seats and leave me yet. But when we're done here, you can get a ticket all day today and tomorrow. Get a ticket at the All-American booth. And then you have to be present to win because you need to be able to take it with you. Okay? I might even wash it for you, depending on how hot I get it. So these pressure canners are for foods that are specifically low in acid. So this means that we need to heat the food up to a higher temperature than the water bath canner. That's the two major differences in canning. Water bath canning, pressure canning, one is for low acid food and one is for high acid food. All right, how do you know what the acidity of a food is? I don't have that memorized on the top of my head. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I have no idea. We get canning books, all right? So canning books will tell you exactly what temperature, what type of canning, and what the acidity of that food is. All of that work is already done for you, okay? We're gonna be working, Tammy and I are both gonna be working out of this book this week. That's me. So this is called Preserving with a Purpose. And Superb does have books here. They look like this. It's a canning book, and it's the same exact book. So no matter where you buy it, it's the same exact book. In this book, I have the charts for you, all laid out. What needs to be water bath, what needs to be pressure can, the acidity of your foods, how much time it takes. It's all done for you, so there's no guessing. All right, so let's take a look at high acid foods. High acid foods are for the water bath canner. This one right here. Who can give me an example of a high acid food? What was that? Tomatoes. Jellies. Any others?
Citrus.
What?
Citrus.
Citrus. Fruit. Any others? I'm waiting for the big one that I know everybody eats. Pickles. Pickles and anything in a pickling brine. So you've got your fruits and fruit products. That means fruit juice, jam, jellies, chutneys, marmalades. There's a couple more. But anything that's fruit and fruit product can go in your water bath canner. Anything citrus, anything pickled. Now, if I take an ear of corn and I take all the corn cob, I take all the corn off of the corn cob, can I put it in a water bath canner? No, because it's low acid. But if I pickle it, if I put it in a pickling brine, which is primarily a vinegar brine, what happens to the acidity of the corn? It goes up. So that makes my corn pickled okay for the water bath canner. So that's why the water bath canning is really a great way if you're intimidated by the pressure canner to get started. All right, let's take a look at low acid foods. Low acid foods, when you start using a pressure canner, any canner will tell you, the minute you get a pressure canner and you start using low acid foods in your recipes, your whole life changes. Because now you can do anything and everything that you would ever want to can. So, give me some examples of low acid foods. Meat. Meat is a big one. That's going to include chicken, pork, beef, fish, venison. Thank you for reminding me. That's always one of my favorites. If you hunt or you have a hunter in your family and you have never had canned venison, I implore you to try to start. Even people that don't like venison love canned venison. It's a much different flavor. Also, any of your fish. Did I say fish? I think I did. Okay. What are some other low acid foods? Potatoes. Green beans. Corn. I'm from Indiana, so I love that answer. Did I hear okra? Well, if somebody said okra, it's correct. So any of your vegetables can be pressure canned and not need the pickling brine. Some people just don't like pickling brine. Some people don't like things pickled and they don't like the flavor of vinegar. And this will really allow you to preserve that food and not have to have it in the pickling brine. Any other low acid foods you can think of? Eggs. What about beans, legumes, lentils, stuff like that. So as you go down on that acidity chart, down there towards the bottom is kind of beans. And the only way you can really preserve beans if they're not dry, if you want ready to eat beans, is going to be pressure canning. Okay, so I heard somebody say eggs. There are a few things on this list, and I want to get this out of the way real early because the next class is a rebel canning class, okay? I want to get this out of the way real early. Who here comes to learn with kind of an open mind of there are going to be some things that are not for my house? I hope everybody, right? I hope the speakers today and tomorrow when I get up there and everybody that you talk to and you meet, that you do so with an open mind to learn something and then decide for yourself if it's for you and your family. I'm pretty much going to give you two answers to a lot of things. I'm going to say this is the USDA test